Most of the Kenyans wanted to know. I mean, we've seen Kimani Mbugua on the biggest televisions here in Kenya, that is
Yes.
Citizen TV. What really happened to the fact that you lost your job and you ended up here?
Found myself taking loans, like taking loans to go drink over the weekends with your partner.
Hello, nice people. Welcome back to my channel. Of course, it's your girl, Vicky Vikina. We are here with Fedi Kenya, Mungai Eve, Benny Experience, and Tumbili TV. Most of you have been able to see this untold story of Kimani Mbugua on social media, from a very big TV star to... Right now, we don't know what is Kimani doing. How are you, Kimani?
I'm okay.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. This is very great, by the way. You said your association is called
Kenya Online Media.
Kenya Online Media.
Yes, yeah.
That is a brilliant idea. You guys came together for, and I'm happy that you guys invited me to your platforms. I'm happy.
Welcome, Karibu. Anyway, Kimani,
Yes.
it's been a long time.
Yes.
We were used to seeing you on TV.
Yes.
The other day, your story came out on social media. It
Yeah.
shocked most of the netizens, most of the Kenyans. They
Yeah.
really wondered, what went wrong, Kimani?
What went wrong is I got sick, or rather, I have a genetic condition. It's called bipolar mood disorder. It's mostly genetics, and a bit of it is drug induced. So for mine, the doctors I've consulted in the hospitals that I have been to, they've told me that it is more likely that mine is genetic, because my drug problem wasn't as much, because the drugs that I was only using marijuana and cigarettes, and just a little bit of marijuana is going to trigger the bipolar. So the underlying condition is bipolar mood disorder.
Yeah.
But then if you do any psychoactive drugs, it now triggers the whole disease, and it comes out, and it's a disease that can rip you apart. It takes control of your mind, such that you find yourself, you believe in things that are not true.
Yeah.
You believe them to be true, and nobody can convince you otherwise. And so your mind keeps telling itself things that are not true, and you live your life structured around those delusions. And it can be very painful, because to other people, they're like, why can't you just stop smoking? But to you, there's a journey that the drugs and the bipolar is taking you on that is not good. I say every disease is meant to wreak havoc in your body. That's why they're called diseases or conditions. And bipolar tends to swing between, I have bipolar 1, which tends to swing with mania. Bipolar 2 swings to depression. And I remember today I was at the clinic. I was going for my clinic today at Mathare, and one of the psychologists told me, she was like, what were you thinking? Like, it was so foolish of you to go and take weed knowing that you have bipolar. But again, I stayed for about 2 years without being diagnosed. I was only given a proper diagnosis this year. So for the last 2 years, for about 2 years, psychiatrists were treating me for something other things, and it's very common, because you see, with mental illnesses, it's very hard to know. The mental illnesses are very hard to diagnose, because even the doctors are just it's like the process of diagnosis is usually like throwing mud on the wall and seeing what sticks. So that was the hardest bit of it since 2020. My first big episode was in 2020. I think I've talked about it previously in my podcast, and also in interviews I did last year. And let me demonstrate to you how bipolar is so strong. I did an interview last year with another digital creator, and what I talked about in that interview it was normal. At that time I was very normal. But 2 months later, after I smoked about 2 joints of weed, I was so disoriented. The delusions came back. I went to hospital. On December 26th last year, I found myself walking butt naked, literally butt naked, on Thika Road, between KICD and Muthaiga police station. I walked the whole of that distance, butt naked, running and not knowing who I was, because I lied. I had come to Thika with my dad, and then I left him. He gave me money to go back home, give me bus fare to go back home, But then I was like, let me come to Nairobi, smoke weed, and then go back up country. And that didn't happen, of course. I found myself running butt naked on the road, and I was only lucky because it was during the festive season, and there were very few people in town. Otherwise, I would have walked naked in front of the whole country. There would be a video of Kimani Mbugua naked in front of the whole country, and I don't know what I would have done about that. Like my reputation, I don't know. I don't know if I would have survived that. And I'm thankful to God though, because I have healed. No, at least let me say it's a genetic condition. You live with it. You learn how to manage it. And everybody who lives with bipolar can tell you, every day is a blessing. Every day you wake up and you're like, I slept so well last night, and now I have energy to wake up in the morning. I am going to work and feeling productive. I am not feeling like God or like I can do everything in the world. Because with bipolar, with mania, it connects everything in life. It shows you this is, you can speak telepathically to everyone, and so you live in a delusional world, this delusional world that your mind creates for you. And if you see somebody collecting papers on the road and they looked at me, please don't judge them, because I was one of those people, and I know now what goes on in their minds through my own experience, because I have collected papers on the road, looking so dirty. I have a picture. I'm going to give you guys a picture of a video that my dad recorded when they came for me last year on December 31st. After that episode, I told you that I walked back naked. The clothes you can see in that video, the clothes I'm wearing in that video, are what a random Msamaria Mwema gave me on the road. I don't know where he got them. He was just like, hey, you're running around without any clothes. Here are some clothes for you to wear. Although they were torn, but they were still clothes. I don't know what I would have done. I don't even know where I left my clothes and my bag. I have no idea. I have a huge memory gaps. And I can say the worst parts of my illness are now behind me, because I gained full insight. When I was told when I was finally diagnosed with a proper diagnosis this year, I lived in denial, and I didn't want to deal with the childhood trauma that kept me coming back to hospital.
And just maybe to cut you short,
Yes,
most of the Kenyans wanted to know. I mean, we've seen Kimani Mbugua on the biggest televisions here in Kenya, that is Citizen TV. What really happened to the fact that you lost your job and you ended up here? Because most of the people expected that even maybe despite you losing your job, you have a very good career, whereby they expected you lazima uendele vizuri. So what happened that you lost your job at? Were you working at Citizen before you lost your job? What happened?
With this whole Citizen thing, I've always been grateful to the whole Citizen family, because a lot of people were protecting me. In fact, when I sent my resignation letter, I was in the middle of a manic episode when I wrote that resignation letter. I was in the middle of a huge burnout. I was doing so many things at the same time, and of course, if you bite more than you can chew, if you take too many projects at the same time, you're going to break down, and that's what happened. And I tendered in my resignation, and the company told me, we are not going to accept your resignation until we're sure that you're fine. And the HR there was very, very, very concerned.
So you were not fired, but you resigned?
Yeah, I was not fired. I resigned, and it took them about 3 months to accept that resignation, because they knew that I was not okay. I was at work and displaying symptoms of mania, for those who knew what it was. But at that time, nobody could really tell what was going on, because but I had been, one thing every bipolar patient will tell you, it starts with having one idea sparks another idea, and then all of a sudden you have this big idea that you want to implement, and then before you make it make sense to those who have to deal with to do the dirty work and have structures put in place, the more pragmatic people, because almost every bipolar patient is a dreamer, and you dream big. It's your mind literally on steroids, and it's a hyper mind. You're processing things so fast because bipolar connects everything. Like I could be here talking about Fairmont or whatever, or anything. It just connects so many things in your mind, and you're unable to control it. So you have to surround yourself with more pragmatic people who will tell you this is not the way to go.
Okay.
Let's be more practical in this way and this way and this way. And for me at Citizen, I had those people. And finally, when they accepted my resignation, they had to make sure that I had gone to hospital first, and that I was treated, and that I was in stable condition. I went to a couple of psychiatric hospitals here in Nairobi. I don't think there's a psychiatric major. I have gone to all the major psychiatric hospitals in Nairobi, Mathare being the biggest one. I've been to Mathare 8 times, and to the others I've gone for about 5 times. And it has taken me 13 admissions to psych ward to get myself back to the point of I accept myself as a person who's living with a condition. It's a condition, it's manageable. You take your meds, you go for your clinics. Today was my first clinic, even though I have been previously was supposed to go for my clinics. I wasn't paying attention to going for clinics. I wasn't paying attention to taking my meds because I was still in denial, and I still was so enticed by that delusional storyline that is given to you by that side of your mind, and that makes you. It is so confusing and so sad, because you say, unless you're with somebody who really understands what is going on with you, a lot of people might judge you for being either a crazy person or for being who you're not. Because you can say things to people, and then things that are obviously, they come from a psychotic place in your mind, but then some people take it seriously, and they get offended permanently, and they make up their minds that you're a person who's not supposed to be around them or people. So I feel bad because, well, I have those people who understand, but then a lot of people also don't understand what usually happens. And for me, my biggest fans are my doctors, my nurses, and everyone at Mathare, because they treat you with so much respect and high regard, because they want you to be well, they want you to be safe, and they've been my family. I've met nurses who have become good friends, and I'm happy. I'm happy that all of these things I can talk about them as being in the past.
Were you financially okay by the time you are leaving and resigning?
I wasn't.
What happened at the fact that you are working at that big company, they were paying you?
Yes, I was getting paid well.
Yes.
I can't complain about the salary that I was being given at Citizen.
Yes.
I was being paid very well.
Mm-hmm. And what happened now?
But I was 23. I went into Citizen in 2018. I was 22, 23, 24. Those were the years I was working at Citizen. I was young. I don't come from money. I come from poverty. And I hadn't learned my money lessons. So when you start earning reasonable money coming from poverty, you haven't grown up in an environment where you have been taught to save or to be financially diligent, because money is something that you haven't had in your life. So it's very hard for you to manage it well, because you haven't learned how to. The only way you can learn how to manage money well is either making mistakes about money or growing up in an environment where money lessons are taught to you. And I didn't have any of those. Yeah.
And now, how did you end up being a drug addict? Because you've left Citizen, you've been diagnosed with bipolar. How did you end up now using drugs?
I wasn't actually diagnosed with bipolar in 2020.
Okay.
The diagnosis only came this year.
Oh, okay.
In 2020, it was the acute psychotic episode.
Okay.
That was the diagnosis I was written for at Avenue. But it turns out, as I said before, with mental illnesses, it's very hard. because the doctor can only deduce what important diagnosis notes from you, if depending on how you articulate yourself. Sometimes it's hard to understand. Some are easy to diagnose, but some are a bit like bipolar is very sophisticated, because you can have a manic phase that is productive. You can be extremely psychotic and hold a very high office, or you can be extremely delusional and hold a very high office or a very important office, and you're performing in that office, and you're productive in that office, but it's nobody knows that it's coming from a point of sickness until you break down, or until the pendulum now swings to depression, and then you can't be able to get anything done, and people wonder, why can't you perform the way you used to perform?
It's okay, just continue.
This is recorded, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And some people wonder, like, why aren't you performing like you used to perform before? And it's saddening, because it's sad. It's sad for people who live with this condition, because you're going to be very misunderstood by a lot of people.
How did you end up homeless, Kimani?
Of course, I haven't worked for the last 2 years. I have been very sick. I've been depending on my parents for the last 2 years, and my mom's business isn't doing well. I think part of the reason why I have been motivated to, go back and come back stronger is so that I can help my mom. We have a farm in Moranga, and I'd want to build her, a greenhouse, dig a borehole, because we have water problems there, and my mom is a farmer. She's a darn good farmer. Yesterday I went to her house, and the farm was looking so neat. The way she has just prepared the farm for the is it October or November? October rains. The long rain season is coming, and she has prepared the farm very well, so well. And I was like, I wish I had the money to support her, because when I was at Citizen, I was living. I hope there are people who misunderstand, and there are people who say that, oh, you never used to send money home or anything like that, but it only takes you to make one stupid money decision, and then you find out that your payslip is going to be hung on a loan.
Yes.
There's some people who can tell you the truth. They receive less than 20,000. There are people who are paid over 100,000, and they receive less than 30,000 in their bank accounts every month, because you've taken loans to do things. But for me, I had a plan. I had a plan of I had a car. I bought a car. And it's a car that doesn't depreciate. A Toyota IC doesn't depreciate. So I was like, I got a car that was low maintenance, and the car was barely using any fuel. I could put 500 in the car, and then I would go to work for 2 days with it. And so my plan was to, at least when I'm leaving or when I leave employment, I could sell the car and use half of that money to buy myself runway with the bank, and then half of that money I would use to form my own company. But then that plan didn't work. I found myself taking loans, taking loans to go drink over the weekends with your pals and all. So, as I said, okay, so the question was about being homeless. Oh yeah, so on that Saturday, when I posted that video, I didn't want to go back to Shags without a plan, because going back to Shags with no plan, and a person with bipolar 1, who I need to keep engaging my mind second by second, and I need to plan out everything, I would have been very miserable, and I would have probably gone back to drugs. But I didn't want to go back to Shags without a proper plan. On that day, actually on that Saturday, I slept outside on that Saturday night, because I didn't have enough money to take me back to Moranga. So I was like, I had even decided that I'll walk all the way to Moranga, because I didn't have the money and I didn't have a phone. But today I bought a phone with the money that people have sent me. I bought a phone here, so I'm not going to be Mteja anymore. I bought a phone with the money that people are sending, and I was overwhelmed, because I didn't give my number on Saturday because I also feared that I didn't have a number. I haven't had an M-Pesa number or a number for the last 1 year because I've been in hospital for almost a whole year between last year September and this year September. So most of my life has been at Mathare, which is top tier hospital because I wouldn't have recovered if I hadn't gone to Mathare. To be honest, it's a very top tier hospital. They give you an environment where you can heal, and it's very affordable. In fact, drugs there are cheaper than outside. So they sometimes we talk trash about the government, but there are things that really work. And everyone who has been to that hospital, like people who have bipolar, and your meds are so expensive. One tablet of my medicine costs 85 bob. 85 shillings for a tablet. Imagine.
The frequency of taking it?
Every day. You have to take it every single day. Yeah. So it was, I was staring death in the face because my meds were getting finished. I didn't have money to buy meds. And I am still jobless. I don't have a place to stay. And I was so stranded. I felt the pain of sleeping outside. I slept on Thika Road, on one of those trenches in Thika Road. I slept there for the whole night. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I called my friend. I called one of my friends, and I told him about it. And he was like, let me send you money right now so that you can go back to Muranga, and then we can plan from Muranga, because he was also not in a position to host me because of a few other things. And I went back to Muranga later that day, and this is only the next day. Actually, we were talking about Saturday and Sunday. So this is Saturday I slept outside. Saturday night I slept outside. On Sunday, that's when I went to back to Muranga in the evening. And that's when I went home, and my sisters told me, hey, your story has been shared by a lot of people. And so today on Monday, I woke up. The first thing I did was to go to a Safaricom shop to get an M-Pesa line. I wanted to take a till number, but then they told me the process was going to take too long. And I wanted to start on this immediately because I also wanted to, I need money to help me move between Muranga and Nairobi before I find a place where I can settle down. But why am I homeless? I can say I haven't worked for the last 2 years. The last 2 years have been hell for me. I've been in and out of hospital, going sometimes as long as 3 months in hospital. Sometimes I go out of hospital and go back in about 5 days because I come out of hospital and still smoke a little weed, and then my brain scatters. So it's been a very long 2 years. So my savings got used up because at some point, even if you have saved well but you're sick and you can't be able to work, you're going to exhaust your savings. And it's not like I wasn't saving. I was saving money, but then this is like, the last time I worked was in September. I left Boxcraft, where I used to work, in September of 2021. So between those 2 years, I haven't taken a job.
Oh, sorry to cut you short. We all know that there are some contributions that are going on online.
Yes.
Maybe how can people reach you? And so far, pesa you mepata, like...
Yeah, let's check. Today I gave out my number in the morning. Let's see where we're at with the contributions, because I keep updating people on my Instagram. So let's see. Let's see so far how much has been raised. By the time this was like 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago we were at 14,500. But I withdrew about 2,000 so that I can get a phone, so that I can stay connected. So let's see. It's opening.
As you're still checking, maybe do you have plans to go back to the screens? Maybe if Citizen TV approach you right now, will you be willing?
I don't mind going back to Citizen TV. I don't mind. I don't mind. I was doing broken news. Broken news was one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done. And yeah, so far, sorry, 16,451.
Nice.
That's where we are at. And I already withdrew 2,000. So if you add 2,000 to this 16,000, that's about 18,000. We've managed to raise so far 18,000 in about 6 hours. And that's the momentum. I needed 200,000 to just get the company started and buy ourselves a proper runway. And so far, I already have the money to register a company, which is very good. Which means now I have a company in my hands now, which is one of the hardest things to get. But now I'm happy that I wanted to focus my energy on the company. But I also don't mind doing broken news again or web wars. Or the many other, even the Kikuyu shows I used to do on Citizen, on Inoro TV. They used to be, those were some of my best days. And
Okay.
if there's a second chance, I am open. If no, then well and good.
Maybe we also have other TV stations that zimekuja hivi karibuni. We have the TV47 and there are many.
I don't
Maybe
mind.
have you sent an application?
I don't mind. I don't mind with the, any station that wants to offer
But
me
have
a
you
job.
sent any application there?
I have talked to people at Citizen and where I used to work, and the problem was they didn't have a vacancy at that moment. But then again, I was focused on building my own company because it's something I've always wanted to do. But then I am focused on building my own company and building, because it's different from media. But in uni, I did communication and journalism. I remember when I was a kid, I used to stand in front of the mirror and with a microphone and do this when I was 16 and just gas myself up like I'm going to be on Citizen TV one day.
So it was a dream
It
come
was
true.
literally a dream come true. I was watching Hussein Mohammed and I was like, I want to be this guy, and then I became that guy, and it made me so happy. And yeah, I don't mind any TV station that wants to use my talents. I am open and available, and I'm sure the company that I'm opening is also going to help them, because it's all about good advertising. As you know, in this industry of ours, there's tension and confusion when it comes to advertising. Where are advertisers spending most of their money? Now we have a huge chunk of advertisers who are taking big budgets to their digital, and then we're like, okay, so it's not just about taking big budgets to digital, it's also about conversions, and are you able to get conversions? And that is something that I can say I know very well. And it's something I've been, over the last 2 years, even though I was sick, I spent a lot of my time researching and doing my own reading and structuring a company around what would best harmonize content and advertising. And that's what the unique solution I'm bringing with my company. Yes.
Okay, maybe as we wind up, what would you love to tell Kenyans? And you can also give us your number. Or maybe just report that Kimani,
Yes.
there were some things going on social media. Some people are thinking that probably you are in cults. I think due to the SDS stuff that were going on.
Well, cult and occultism, I think that's a topic I want to stay away from, because I was with my uncle last week, and he told me some very strong words about religion, and religion is something that is dear to a lot of people, and nobody is right, nobody is wrong. Oh, those who are wrong, we know those who are wrong. When it, like for example, what was happening in Shakahola, that is something that you can see is outrightly wrong. But some things are hard for people to articulate whether they are good or not good. And when you find yourself in such a situation, being so conclusive about things is not the best way to go about it. Yeah. So let me stay away from that. You're free. We live in a free country. Believe in what you want to believe in, as long as you don't kill people and do evil things. I think morality is something that cuts across the hearts of all humans. I think it's Solzhenitsyn who says that. So don't that is, whether you're an atheist, a believer, believers need non-believers. we all need each other, whether you're a believer or a non-believer. Especially for non-believers, especially atheists. Atheists tend to be very condescending towards believers, and I don't like that. I don't be condescending about something that other people find so dear to their hearts. That's what I learned about my comments, the comments that I made. This is now 3 years ago. About one church, and I'm like, let's put that behind us now, because they are the same people who I went to their high school, and they're the same people who supported me in school, and I realized some of them were offended by me appearing to be ungrateful. My point was not to appear ungrateful. I was very psychotic then and delusional, and so I can't say that those words came from a sober part of my mind. Yeah, but anyway, I'm sorry because there were people who were hurt anyways. Yeah.
Any big celebrity or the people who worked with when you're saizi kukusaidia?
Well, yeah, there's one who's reached out, and I was so surprised. I was so surprised, and I was so impressed because I didn't expect that she was paying
Who was that?
attention. Yeah, I don't know if it's okay to say her name.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay to say her name.
Yeah.
It's Wanjira, Capital FM's Wanjira. Wanjira. She reached out. We've talked this morning, and we're supposed to meet tomorrow. And I was quite surprised by her. Also Mudhoni Mukiri. We used to work together at Inoro TV, and she's also been on a mental health journey herself, and I'm excited to see what we can do with the both of them. I know you're going to see more and more of them are coming back, coming together. Another friend of mine, a good friend of mine, his name is James. James Kahonge is a big, fantastic writer. He used to work for Daily Nation. He's my best friend, and he's the one who's been guiding me and helping me throughout my journey. We share the little that we have, and he's made me feel a friend in need is a friend indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So you can give us the number that contribution is being sent to. Then you can tell
Yes,
Kenyans.
it's a new number. I haven't memorized it.
Okay,
Somebody, yes, I
read it down.
wrote it here. 0741 954 681.
Kindly repeat.
0741 954 681. That's what I've decided. It's going to be my Safaricom number. So I use it as a work number. And if you want to send whatever you have, I told people the value of 1 shilling. There's somebody there's a lady. Let me give a shout out to her. Her name is McKenna. Yesterday when I was going home, I met her at the Super Metro queue when I was going to Thika. And she told me, I've seen your story. Where can I send the money to? I didn't have a phone or a number then. So I told her, let me get home and I'll call you. And she sent me money, and she was like, she felt like that money was small. I was like, this is a lot of money you've just sent me. Because even 1 shilling, you can send a shilling by M-Pesa. That 1 shilling goes a very long way. Because you might want to buy a 1 GB bundle while trying to send something to a client. And you find yourself with 19 bob or 15 bob or 14 bob on your M-Pesa or on your credit, and that's when you know the value of that 1 shilling, because you're like, now I can't buy a whole GB because of that 1 shilling. That's when you know the value of a shilling. So whatever you have, don't feel bad, even if it's a shilling. Just say, Kimani, I was your big fan. Then let me send you this 1 shilling I have. If 200,000 people send me 1 shilling each, that would be 200,000 shillings, and I will smash my goals of that. That's a capital that I need. With 200,000 shillings, I'll be able to get myself out of the 1.7 million debt that I am in. So I have a strategy because I have a debt. I got a lot of penalties because I defaulted on my loan. I have defaulted on my loan since 2020 with COVID and my illness and me not having work. But the bank has agreed to waive my loan. My bank has agreed to waive my loan. They reduced it from 1.7 million to 1.2 million. So now I'm like, we can do that. If I get this company up and running, we'll be able to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You guys, thank you also. I should thank you for you guys are always You guys made me a star, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, we are also grateful. So guys, if you're willing to help, he has given out his number. You can reach him. You can call him. You can just talk. By the way, if people just call you and talk to you, that's also okay,
You can
right?
also, yes, you can also call on that number. When I'm free, we can talk. Yeah, whatever you're going through, I can listen. We can share. With sharing. A lot of people come to my DMs and they tell me I was going through the same thing. I was going through the same thing. Don't suffer in silence. Mimi nilikuwa huko kwa TV, mlikuwa mnaona Kimani Mbugua kwa TV, and I was so depressed in that time. And mngejua hata mlikuwa mnaona nikicheka cheka kwa kamera, mnadhani niko sawa, lakini sikuwa sawa. Nikienda home kwa duve yangu nalia, nashindwa sasa hii maisha inanipeleka aje, you know. But don't
Here you are
yeah,
today.
here I am today. And,
So-
and get
so-
out of depression through sharing.
Okay.
Don't stay in your house and not do anything. Come out, share your story with people. Let those who will be touched to help. Because again, not everyone will help you, but you also need to understand that also so many people love you and they are there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.